This is a topic as mentioned by engineer NT, and he's already nicely summarized my background. I think the key thing here I want to emphasize is that I've had some good mentoring and I've been exposed to international practice that has guided me in setting up my business and the way I work today. All right. Highlight some of the design challenges that are base statutory. What I mean by that is that these are things that only the agencies can deal with. Take a look at how design service or design consultants are engaged and the challenges we meet. I'll talk about technology that we can. This is a topic as mentioned by engineer NT, and he's already nicely summarized my background. I think the key thing here I want to emphasize is that I've had some good mentoring and I've been exposed to international practice that has guided me in setting up my business and the way I work today. All right. Highlight some of the design challenges that are base statutory. What I mean by that is that these are things that only the agencies can deal with. Take a look at how design service or design consultants are engaged and the challenges we meet. I'll talk about technology that we can adopt, and then also highlight the importance of how we collaborate and communicate with the projects. And at the end of it, I will just indicate, summarize the improvements I think can be done. Now with statutory design challenges, one of the key things that crops up is our road classification adoption. It's usually one of the first things we do when we're in the design process. But if you take a look around today on our highways, there's a lot of mixed use. We're supposed to be on highways and we hit speed ramps, zebra crossings. You know, it makes the operation of the highway in its true sense not what it should be, and therefore we need to think through how we handle this situation. Like I mentioned, this is something for the agency to deal with. Do we transition from highway to urban, or we segregate traffic, or what? We have to take a serious look at that. The other thing is has to do with our right-of-way. We are not enforcing whatever right-of-ways we say we have, and at the time of design, you are constrained to, more often than not, because of cost, to design within limited space when ideally we should be designing through all the available space with it. We also have an issue with access control. On our highways, people join anywhere, people turn anywhere, and this all has an impact on safety, especially on what we do. The public is so used to wanting to stop and do business anywhere on the road, so this needs to be looked at. The other thing then comes up is the absence of historical data. Over the years, I'm afraid the agencies haven't been collecting data, and anytime we have to start a design process, you're practically starting from scratch. And this makes the process costly. The agencies themselves are limited to how much planning they can do without background data. The next thing I would mention with regard to statutory agency related is our road design guide. I believe it's outdated. I know some work is being done, but I don't think it's been formally made available to the public. So if that hasn't been done, then we need to look at that. And then lastly is our interactions with the utilities. I'm not sure how much coordination is going on, but anytime the road issues to deal with, there's a huge cost involved in dealing with relocating utilities. Now, the next thing will have to do with how services for design are engaged. Traditionally, or for a long time, it's always been road agency initiated. The designs are undertaken in-house by either in-house or by consultants. Designs are reviewed at various stages from inception through to detailed design, and the contractor then procured based on those designs. And then the works are executed and supervised by either consultants again or the agencies themselves. Now, these are my challenges regarding the way it's being handled today. I don't believe we give enough sufficient time allocated to the assignment, and therefore you either don't do a sufficiently detailed job, or you make compromises on meeting the timelines assigned to it. And more often than not, the design review processes extend well beyond the time allocated for the assignment. We are submitting documents, volumes upon volumes of documents for review. As to whether it's the most efficient way of submitting and reviewing it, because there have always been instances where reports can't be found. You've got to send additional copies and all of that. So the review process needs to be looked at again. So long and short, if you're spending much longer times for the assignments, the costs to the consultants are not commensurate to whatever you bargained for. And with these constraints, you obviously are very limited in how much you can invest in technology and how much you can invest in training younger engineers. We need to look at the frequency at which assignments are giving out. There should be some concerted effort to which assignments are giving out to grow the industry. I intentionally highlighted my exposure with Chumbuafu and Partners because at the time, I think there was over a considerable amount of my formative years, there was a good or a concerted effort to grow the firms. You know, Chumbuafu's, the associated consultants, the Conteras, and a host of other things. They consistently were giving jobs competitively, and I'm a product of that system. So this is something I would like to see. Your happy consultant will obviously put in his best to give you the desired solutions we want. More recently, because of our limitations with donor agencies, we are resorting to unsolicited proposals where private agencies look for money, make proposals to government, government accepts, and then you proceed to execute the works. For the contractors, it's an assured way of making money. So a lot of them who can arrange for finance approach these things, but it also has its challenges for us in the local industry. Up to that time, the contracts are signed or any formal arrangement is saying the proponent is not obliged to use anybody locally. A lot of times you find them bringing their own expertise to do work here, even if local expertise is used, is very limited. And then also because of the absence of data, you know, these guys have to pay for a lot of studies. You can imagine what it will cost to do significant studies for the Accra-Kumasi Road if you have to pre-finance these things. So at the end of the day, these the data is collected not as thorough as it should be, and we base our contracts on estimates that have been padded for things that they may not see. As to whether this is the best thing is another thing. The other thing has to do with the data they collect remains their property. We don't pay for that data. So the agencies don't benefit at all from that data. And every time the data, as I mentioned, the agencies don't get to own it. And if the proponent is not successful, we keep repeating the process and all of that. This process also goes the same challenges with reviewing documentation and processes and all of that. Now, I want to focus on technology, discuss briefly on technology that we can harness. There's a host of technology that can be harnessed, but I think one important group of data is geospatial data. Now, this data, because of the improvements of digitalization and internet access, this data is widely available and can be used largely throughout the process of our design, from design through to construction. Obviously, this then make the agencies take early decisions. They can plan, all right. They can, well, if they plan properly, obviously they can create more projects and keep the industry going. But it's very key that we the agencies look seriously into how much we incorporate geospatial data in whatever we're doing, all the way from the pre-policy development, design, collaborate, consensus building, through visualizations. We can use geospatial data. So I'm going to be focusing on this this kind of data in the discussion. Like I mentioned, there are other technologies, traffic in the traffic and sectors, but the impact for geospatial is very wide, and I think it's worth mentioning, and that is what I'll focus on. So, like I mentioned, technology has improved, and there are various methods for acquiring this geodata, this data. We have drones today, both manned and unmanned. We have mobile mapping. We have satellite imagery from both free sources and paid sources. But we also need to know what their limitations are. For the first, the smaller scaled ones, the sites need to be accessible. We have limitations, flight zone limitations, and then you should know that there can be inconsistencies with the data that you get with. And the data sources are not always updated as often as they should be. Now, the other aspects which we can use the geodata, one aspect is for our baseline inventory and condition assessments. There's mobile mapping, where remote sensors are put on vehicles. The vehicles, in some cases, can go up to 80 kilometers per hour. And at the end of the day, we can quickly generate our strip plans, identify assets within the right of way and beyond. We can assess the riding quality of the pavement, and we can also assess the existing traffic characteristics and capacity. We can do speed flow density analysis. You can do road safety audits. You can identify facilities for commercial vehicles. And at the end of the day, this all goes to help with the planning. Early involvement of the data helps the agencies plan. Design engineers also use this to develop concept drawings and all of that. I will go next into the design tools for design. Now that you've got your geospatial data available, the tools we need to use, there are a lot of softwares available for us to use. Common ones are Civil 3D on the Autodesk platform. You have Inroads from Bentley, you have Moss, and a host of others. And there are other CAD platforms such as Briscat emerging that can also be used for that. All of these data, all of these software allow you to utilize this geospatial data. but we must know that there are limitations. The accuracy of data we get from Google Earth is limited. It's of a very low resolution. There are other paid sources where you can get slightly denser information, and the most preferred one is LiDAR data. All right. Unfortunately, my screen is not showing, but I have a screen where I highlight. I've superimposed data for the same area, and you can see it gets to show you the areas that you are missing from with the various types of data. So I've compared Google Earth data with LiDAR data, and it shows you the gaps to which you can use the information. So our inputs are for the design, obviously, will be the topographic surveys. We can't run away from traditional surveys. At some point, we will still need traditional surveys to work with. One of the challenges we have today is our younger engineers tend to adopt GPS technology and swear by it and don't want to go through the processes of checks with the traditional surveys, but we can't run away from it. We now have also mosaics, which help us design effectively with the data. We develop ground models and point clouds, and then we take information from the drainage guys, the traffic guys, and the pavement engineers, and go on to come up with the designs. The geometric design is an iterative process. And with the technology we have today, we can play with several options and come up with fairly efficient designs. And these softwares allow you to produce the construction and drawings for reporting. Okay. Today we are largely stuck at the point where we give the agencies paper drawings and PDFs for our reviews, but the reviews are still manual. Now we can take this design one step further with the introduction of BIM. BIM is building intelligence models. It's being used quite actively in the building industry, but these days the softwares that we are using allow you to go a step further by getting a 3D representation of your design, and from that design you can query any design object, from your curb line to your paving areas to all of that. At the end of the day, you end up with more credibility in your designs. It allows you to plan your processes. The agencies, you can choose to stage your implementations, and even assess your as-built assets with all of these things as time goes by. Now, all of this technology, we are now loading ourselves. Yes, now all of these technologies provide us with several amounts of data, drawings, and like I mentioned earlier, reviewing all of these things efficiently is a big challenge. My suggestion here is that the agencies start adopting some electronic document management systems where you can review and collaborate with various stakeholders consistently. I have experiences where we agree on decisions earlier on, and later on in the process, someone who has now come on board makes changes and wants changes and all of that. So the agencies need to do it. The agencies need to drive it, and the agencies need to compel we in private sector to use the technology. Now, in summary, we need to improve and become more proactive. We need to enhance the process. All right. I would think that we have an LI 2411, which tries to get a lot of feasibilities and concept drawings, concept projects developed prior to being executed. Let's try and involve or find a budget to be able to do this. We will keep the industry busy, local industry busy. We more or less might even compel foreign companies to utilize our services more often. And we should take advantage of emerging technology, be it geospatial, be it traffic, be it water, hydrology related, all of that. And then we should also go on to enforce regulations to protect the right of way, access control, and plan our projects properly. On the Kumasi Road, we are creating bypasses on previous bypasses. We can't continue to do this. We have to think through the processes from the agency level. Then we also need, like I mentioned, we need to improve feedback and collaboration within the industry and hold engineers more accountable. All right. If we need to insist on professional indemnity, we need to do that. But we won't grow the industry if we ourselves are not being held accountable. Finally, we need to create other services related to design. For example, traffic data collection and monitoring can be privatized. The geospatial data collection service can be privatized. Road inventory data can be privatized. Document management can be privatized, all because of emerging technologies. If the industry grows, individuals and private find it worthwhile investing in these things, and we can train more engineers into the design sector. I think I'll end here. Thank you very much for the opportunity.